Another perfect day here at the plant. All systems running smoothly like they always do. They really weren't joking when they said that nuclear power is so easy these days that it can be run by children. What's that? What's going on? There's a meteorite, sir, and it's headed straight for the plant. Everybody, take cover quickly. Oh, what?
Up an atom, Captain.
What's the damage?
The remainder of the meteorite struck the nuclear reactor, causing significant damage and destroying auto repair systems. We will need to repair it manually.
But no one has had to do a manual repair in years and years. How will we know what to do?
That's okay. Looks like I'll have to give you a bit of a history lesson. Nuclear energy uses rotary motion to generate electricity, same as most other forms of power. At the end of the process, pressurized steam is used to spin a turbine, which, when connected to a generator, creates electricity. Over 80% of all electricity is produced by steam turbines.
Steam? Where does steam come into a nuclear power station?
It's quite simple. A coolant is pumped around the nuclear reactor, absorbing heat. The coolant is then run through a steam generator, which heats water. Water expands when it turns into steam, creating the pressure needed for a steam turbine.
That's rather easy so far. What's the coolant made of?
Well, it could be any number of things. Some stations just use water, whereas others use more specialized coolants and gases. Here we use water gathered from Mars's ice caps.
Okay, I get it. The reactor heats up the water, which turns to steam. That spins the turbine and produces electricity from motion, like a backwards motor. So how does the reactor heat up the water?
Well that's the cool, or should I say, hot part. You know how explosions look, right? Big bang, loud noise, lots of heat. Well, a nuclear reactor makes really small explosions. In a nuclear reactor, a particle called a neutron is shot through an atom, splitting it in half. Like a regular explosion, this produces light, heat, and kinetic energy. It also releases a number of extra neutrons that can go on to hit other atoms, causing what we call a chain reaction. Splitting an atom this way is called nuclear fission.
Interesting. So if the reactor isn't operational, how come these lights are still on?
Well, here on Mars, we use a combination of renewable energy sources to supplement our nuclear power. Those lights run off backup solar power.
Why don't we just run everything off solar power?
Well, solar, like any power source, also has its drawbacks. It takes a huge amount more space in solar panels to produce the same amount of power as a nuclear reactor. And during these dust storms that come through regularly, the panels are basically useless.
So what other types of power do we use?
We also use wind power, which works very well in the dust storms, and geothermal energy, which generates power by tapping into heat sources within the Earth.
What about old sources of power? Wasn't a large part of Earth's electricity once run by coal?
Coal was phased out many years ago in favor of more environmentally friendly sources of power. Coal is a non-renewable resource that needs to be mined, which can have a significant environmental impact.
Well, isn't that the same as the uranium that we use in our nuclear reactor?
Yes, however, every kilogram of uranium can produce 2 to 3 million times more energy than a kilo of coal. Plus, a nuclear reaction produces no emissions, whereas the process of burning coal to create power releases huge amounts of greenhouse gas, which further impacts the health of people and the planet. Now climb up there and put these new control rods in. As I like to say, out with the old and in with the nuclear.
So what are these control rods used for?
Control rods are used to speed up or slow down the chain reaction. As they are lowered in, they absorb the extra neutrons, which stops them from splitting other atoms.
Hold on, isn't this really bad? Shouldn't we be panicking a little bit?
Actually, contrary to what most people think, nuclear reactors are generally very safe. There have only been a few major disasters in the history of nuclear power, and all these happened because safety precautions were not followed. Power stations these days are subject to a rigorous inspection schedule, and there's layers upon layers of safety measures to make sure that nothing bad happens.
Sounds like they've thought everything through then. How come everyone doesn't use nuclear power back on Earth?
Well, despite all these safety precautions, some people think it just still isn't safe, even though its use is widespread in countries such as the United States, Japan, France, Belgium, Hungary, and many more.
Alright, well that all seems pretty clear to me.
Clear or nuclear?
Let's just get back to the control room.